You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm not Kerry Lutz. I'm Bill Powers, guest hosting for Kerry. He's back at home now, out of the hospital after overcoming his battle with COVID-19. I spoke with him recently. His voice is regaining strength, and he told me he's going to be back behind the microphone this week. So you're going to be hearing his testimony as well as him speaking to some of his frequent guests before the end of this week. And he also did mention to me that he's very thankful for the numerous emails and messages that he's received. So he wanted to thank you for that. Back today on the show is frequent guest Nick Santiago of InTheMoneyStocks.com. He's a master trader. Nick, welcome onto the show. I know you're thankful that Kerry is better as well, but let's talk about the markets. So we have two huge political events this week. We have the Georgia runoff, which is going to determine the balance of power in the Senate and whether we have a divided government or not. And then on the 6th, beginning on the 6th, which is tomorrow, we're going to have a contested election in the U.S. Congress in Washington, D.C. How do you view these events, and what do you think the impact's going to be on the market?
Well, I think these two events are tremendous. They're very big for the market in the short run. Yesterday, you saw a pretty wild tape out here to start the new year, first trading session of the new year. The market was really all over the map. We had almost a midday crash and then a slight recovery towards the end of the day, but markets did finish down across the board. I'm calling this the year of the volatility spikes, and I think we're going to see lots of them. It started yesterday. I didn't expect that so soon, but I think we're going to see a lot more of it going forward. Now, as far as the market is concerned with the Georgia runoff, if the Democrats do prevail, that would be a very, very big negative for the stock market. And I'll just put that out there right now. A lot of the agendas that President so-called elect Biden may have would start to potentially come to fruition. So again, that is going to be very, very important. And then you have the Electoral College vote on Wednesday, and that's another huge event. So we're going to have to stay tuned, but you want to be a little bit cautious around all of these events right here. I don't think you overtrade at this point in time. Keep it a little bit more short term. And then once we have some final results out there, then you could start to get a little bit more aggressive, both on the long and short side. But this is a year where I think we're going to see a lot of volatility spikes throughout the entire 2021.
Nick, do you think there's still a possibility that President Trump, in his fight for the second term, could still prevail in the next few weeks?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you've just been, I know the mainstream media doesn't show it, but if you watch other alternative media outlets or you watch any of these hearings that are going on, I mean, I don't think we've ever seen fraud to this degree ever in any election. So it's really mind blowing when you think about it. But we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I mean, right now, this is really uncharted waters for me. I've never seen anything quite like this.
I know many of the Las Vegas bookies were refusing to pay out on a Joe Biden victory. If an investor is listening to us, a speculator is listening to us, and they want to bet on President Trump being inaugurated in 2.5 weeks, what would be a trade that they could do over these next few weeks?
Well, I would say either way, what the trade that's going to come up is going to be long volatility. There's a ETF out there called the VXX. That's something that I'll be getting into prior to the inauguration date, regardless of who wins the presidency. So I just think it's a good hedge there. It's either way, no matter who is going to be the president, when it's all said and done, you're going to get volatility out of this scenario. So I think that's going to be your best play. And I think that'll be the play going forward very, very often throughout this 2021 year.
And you play that via call options primarily?
I will do it via call options, VXX call options. And another way you could do it is just to buy the VXX as well. You could just buy that. Right now, I have not bought it, but I will, as I said, look to get involved in that prior to the inauguration date of January 20th.
And why wait, Nick? Because we're seeing so much volatility even this week. Why would you wait to the 20th? Is it something in the charts or just the seasonality?
Yeah, it's the charts for me. For me, it's always about certain dates and certain time periods. I'm always looking at the past history. Historically speaking, right around the Martin Luther King holiday, we do see a jump in volatility very, very often. So that will do it for me. I think that's a good time to get involved, and that's what I'll be looking at.
Do you think that we could see a market crash for the ages this year? Is that within the realm of possibility in your analysis?
Oh, it's certainly a possibility. It's certainly a possibility. I don't know if it's for the ages, but I think we will see a crash or two this year to a fair degree. I'm not saying it's going to be one for the ages, but I think we will see a lot more volatility pick up. I think we'll see markets see some sharper sell-offs. And I do think we're going to get big bounces as well. It's going to be a very, very turbulent year. And if you don't understand charts, you're going to have a really rough time in these waters.
Assuming Biden's inaugurated and the Democrats take the Senate, so we have a complete Democrat-controlled government, when would a market crash occur in your estimation under this scenario?
Oh, I think we could probably see one pretty soon, sometime, mid to late first quarter.
Even if there's another stimulus that kind of injects capital into the markets?
Yeah, I think, well, how much more capital can we inject than what we've injected already? The markets are really up predominantly because of the capital that has been created and put into stocks. So, if you roll back, what would happen is if there's a trifecta, meaning you have the Senate, the House, and you have the president all under Democratic control, you're going to have rollbacks in all of the regulations. They're going to put back on all the regulations that have been taken off. That will kill fossil fuel industry. That will stunt a lot of growth in a lot of different corporations. Then if you have the idea of a corporate tax hike, that makes the U.S. less competitive. That right there will send the markets in a tailspin. And then just tax hikes in general. Joe Biden has been open about raising the tax, I believe, by 16% on people making over $400,000. Well, I got news for you. It's the people that make $400,000 or more that pay all the taxes in this country.
Nick, on that note, that's good campaign rhetoric, but since Wall Street supports him, do you think they would really let him go through with that?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Trilogy Metals is a world-class developer in Alaska's Ambler Mining District. The company already possesses 8 billion pounds of copper, 3 billion pounds of zinc, over 1 million gold-equivalent ounces, and now over 77 million pounds of cobalt. Trilogy's Arctic project boasts an after-tax net present value of $1.4 billion with a 33% IRR. Trilogy is led by an experienced management team with proven success in discovering and developing projects in Alaska. The company is well capitalized, has no debt, and possesses strong institutional support. Trilogy trades on the New York and Toronto exchanges under the ticker symbol TMQ. To learn more, go to trilogymetals.com. That's trilogymetals.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network. The information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Yeah, I do. I don't think Wall Street controls the agenda of politicians. If you look at what's going on with the chatter of the Great Reset, I mean, this stuff is in the New York Times now. It's in Time Magazine. It's all over the place. I mean, if people are not seeing it and waking up to it, I don't know what to tell them. This is terrifying. It's frightening. And if you're not aware, look at the lockdowns that are going on in Europe, in Australia, and in the UK. UK is supposedly not even part of the Eurozone. I mean, they're on a indefinite lockdown right now. I mean, this is terrifying stuff. So, this is all crushing the economy. You could print money till the cows come home, but if you just crush small companies, which is the backbone of society, I don't know what to tell you. I think we're in for real trouble ahead. And I've been bullish. 2020. I mean, you can count my short trades on one hand out after the month of March. So, that just goes to I'm just saying something there with everything that's happening.
Let's talk U.S. dollar again, as it relates to the U.S. government that is formed over these next 3 weeks. If President Trump is reelected with a Republican Senate, is that more positive for the U.S. dollar versus a Democratic-controlled complete federal government?
Oh, absolutely. The dollar will soar. The dollar will go up a lot if President Trump is reelected. If President Trump is not in office this year, I have to think the dollar could continue to slide. I normally will update my members on the dollar all the time, and I haven't really done it because I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm hopeful of some things happening that are positive for the country, but honestly, if President Trump is not in office, the dollar could continue to sink.
What about inflation? Does it matter who's in control? Because both parties, what do you have on one hand, the number of true fiscal conservatives you can count in Washington, D.C. nowadays? Does it even matter who's in control in regards to inflation in this year?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's been just endless money printing, but it's the policy changes that could go into effect now that could really be disruptive. If you look at, like all the things we said, the tax hikes, corporate tax hikes, rolling back all of the regulations that were removed and putting them back on. Just look at what happened under President Obama with the coal industry. Basically annihilated the coal industry single-handedly with regulations. And, that can happen again. For me, I'm a chartist, so I'm just going to watch the money flow and I'm going to see where the opportunities lie, long or short. It really doesn't matter to me. One thing I will say is if you're going to trade on the short side, it happens a lot quicker. So, you have to be a little bit prepared for that. And then you get those big reflex bounces. So in my opinion, this is really going to be a trader's market in 2021.
Nick, have you made more money in your own portfolio shorting stocks rather than going long?
In the years that you can do that, yes. It's a much quicker move, provided you're able. So I'll give you a great example. When we crashed in February and March, I was already preloaded up with a lot of put options and a bunch of different equities, and a lot of them were out of the money. They weren't making. I was losing on them, and they all made small fortunes for a move of that magnitude so quickly. So. You can really capitalize if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, I would advise for people to really take it slow and sit on the sidelines.
For a speculator that bought Bitcoin 30 days ago, would you recommend they sell now, or should they hang on for the ride further?
Well, the chart is parabolic, and you know how I feel about a parabolic chart. It's on borrowed time. So the one thing I just saw that I thought was pretty interesting was one of the NFL players demanded that he get paid his salary in Bitcoin. And the last time I saw something like that was in 2007 when a lot of the movie stars, and I don't want to repeat the names who they were, but they were demanding that they get paid in euro. And we see how that turned out.
So that could be just in popular culture. That could be a sign of this peak.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about oil? What are your expectations for oil? It's been performing pretty well of recent.
Yeah, oil has done really well, especially since the announcement of a vaccine. So oil now, and last time I spoke with you personally, I said oil should continue to go higher. The chart is very bullish. And believe it or not, it still has upside to it. So I think oil can still advance a little bit here. But if Joe Biden gets in there and the Republicans lose the Senate and we have a Democrat-controlled Senate, I would not be long anything fossil fuel.
Okay. Would you go long green energy?
Yeah. I think green energy has had a big run already. If you take a look at the TAN, which is the ETF for solar, I think it's parabolic right now. So I would not be a buyer of it at all at this stage of the game.
What about LNG? I saw a chart this morning that in Asia it was going parabolic. Any thoughts here?
I haven't been overly tracking LNG at the moment, but what I would say is it's still a pretty strong chart. So that could still have potentially more upside, at least from what I can see.
Okay. And Nick, other than volatility for 2021, would the precious metals be your second best trade?
No, I think the best trade that you're going to be able to put on in 2021 will be trading the markets, shorting the markets, and then buying back the bounces. And that's a hard and very, very tough thing to do for most people. So I think that's going to be the best strategy if you're able to navigate and understand how the money flow works. Just really understanding overbought and oversold conditions, understanding when you have major and minor support levels in play. That's really what you're going to need to know going forward in 2021. And it doesn't really matter who the president is. This is just the way this cycle is going to play out, I think.
Nick, one last question that I've thought about. When you get the big retailers and the online retailers like Amazon, their stock is just soaring as these governments destroy small business all around the world and in our country here. You know, if the markets crash and they still have us in lockdown, how can Amazon not be profitable? I suppose the stock could tank if liquidity dries up. But I mean, could you be bullish Amazon even when you're, bearish general markets?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, if you look at what happened just in the crash that we had in February of 2020, there were a lot of stocks like the cloud software stocks like Zoom and all of these what we call stay-at-home stocks. They did really, really well, where most other stocks were just, plunging. Airlines and travel industry stocks and restaurant stocks, they were just getting annihilated. And then you had the cloud software names making a bigger move, or stocks like Walmart, Costco, as you mentioned, the big box stores doing very, very well. So that certainly could be the case.
Well, thanks, Nick. Nick's website is inthemoneystocks.com. If you want to learn about trading the peaks and valleys, like Nick mentioned, head on over there. He has a very reasonably priced subscription service, and he's been doing this for over 3 decades. Nick, thanks for coming on today's show.
It's great to be with you, Bill. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.